Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And we're going to take a look at another area of policy from the SNP, which I think can only be deliberate. Crime is increasing massively. At the same time, police forces are being cut, and the justice system is failing to, let's say, deliver justice. It's giving inappropriately soft punishments, sometimes not even jail for some very serious crimes. It is an area and almost an environment in which crime will thrive. And it is deliberate. It can be no other thing. They get told in advance what will happen, they do it anyway, and people suffer. Sometimes physically, sometimes mentally, sometimes for the rest of their lives. It may be a physical deformity caused by a criminal action, but it may just be post-traumatic stress disorder. It stops people feeling safe, even in their own homes. It's wrong, and yet it is the policy of the SNP. They can spread the misery, they can spread the awfulness, and then represent themselves as the only way out of it. It's exactly the sort of policy that was tried in 1930s Germany, and let's look how that ended up. We'll take a look at this to see why it is so bad and why you can draw no other conclusion than it is absolutely deliberate SNP policy to increase crime. Here goes. Right, before we get into this, I would like to say that, again, it's happening again with a big number of automatic desubscription, I suppose, or unsubscribing by YouTube. It's not people doing it. And we've lost quite a few this morning. And so do please check that you are still subscribed, and please do resubscribe if that's the case, and ring the bell for notifications. If you're not yet subscribed, now would be an excellent time to do it. And do please hit the like button as well. That absolutely helps the channel, because and I think this is why this happens, is because we're political, and YouTube do not like the political channels, which is why I think they do this shadiness of unsubscribing randomly at times. I know at least one user who has to do it almost on a daily basis. It's very shady behaviour. Anyway, we'll take a look at this. Violent crime hits a high point since current figures began. It's an absolute record, and it's never, it's just gone through the roof. And SNP's lawless Scotland spirals out of control. Now we can only assume that it's deliberate, because it is, after all, the SNP that are cutting police budgets year on year on year. They have never once since coming to power given the police an above-inflation rise in budget, which means a real terms cut every single year. Nearly 17 years of SNP rule, and not 1 year ever since they came to power have they given a real terms increase in the budget. They'll say, oh, we're giving more money now. Yes, you are giving more money. But if it's less than inflation, it's a cut. And that is the problem they have. They've also put on a hiring freeze for young officers. Meanwhile, at the top end, people are retiring out. People are stressing out on medical leave. The force is shrinking rapidly. They're actually got to the point they're not even investigating crimes. Certainly, there's no sort of proactive work. There's no going into the community, learning, telling people. There's no obvious patrolling. There's no keeping order. Everything now is reactive. They wait till something happens and then investigate afterwards, rather than stopping it in advance. The SNP were told this would happen. The SNP knew this would happen. And the SNP still pushed on with their policy, because safety, people, crime is not important. Independence is the only thing that counts. And that is why they waste millions upon millions on a pointless exercise that about 70% of the people in Scotland don't actually want. And yet, the things that are important just don't get looked at. The Scots Tories say that the rise in violent crime, as well as an increase in crime overall, must be seen in the context of the SNP's weak justice agenda. As this comes as Police Scotland is being forced to cut officer numbers further. And of course, a smaller police force and increase in crime. One is a function of the other. There's no getting away from it. And that's on top, of course, as I say, of the court system, the entire justice system, that allows you to are a child and walk free from court, beat a woman, and the police won't even talk to you. A woman punched in the face, blood drawn, and he got a stern telling off. He was wagged a finger at. He wasn't arrested for actual bodily harm. because he happened to be wearing a dress and the policeman was too scared to arrest a man in a frock in case he got called a phobe, even though the man in the frock was a violent criminal. More than 71,000 incidents of violent crime have taken place in the past year, making it the highest number recorded in Scotland in the past decade. Scottish Conservative Justice spokesman Russell Findlay said the increase is of no surprise, as Police Scotland is at breaking point, as he blamed the SNP government for its soft-touch handling of justice funding and policy. It's both. You need a lot more policemen, but you need judges with balls who are prepared to say to these people, right, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, and send out the message that your life is done. You break the crime, your life is done. You're going away, and you're going away for a long time. And I don't care about prisoners' rights. I really don't. Because the moment a person breaks the rules, breaks the law, he should no longer be protected by the law he breaks. Break the law, go away, and stay away. Society benefits by ridding itself of the cancer of crime. According to official statistics, the year ending 2023 saw a total of 71,571 violent crimes recorded. It is the highest annual figure for this crime from any recorded data since the year of 2011-2012, more than 10 years ago. Nearly 12 years ago now, isn't it? Mr. Findlay said the increase is worrying and must be seen in the context of the SNP's weak justice agenda, which abjectly fails victims. It fails victims, it fails society, it fails everything. It is like the SNP. It is a failure. He continued, Police Scotland is at breaking point due to the SNP's severe and sustained cuts to budget year on year, 17 years, not one real term increase. The consequential rise in violence will come as no surprise to frustrated and exhausted police officers. Rather than tackle it on the streets, nationalist ministers pander to those responsible. Countless dangerous thugs have been spared prison due to being under 25, while a new SNP law will make it even harder for sheriffs to remand criminals in custody. They're designing the entire system to make it criminal friendly, to push the rights of criminals above the rights of innocent citizens. This will raise, this is actually going to end up with citizen justice, vigilantism. And when you start seeing a few criminals on the streets dangling from lampposts or having, arms cut off, theft, whack, off it comes, beaten to pulp, probably even possibly killed. And people in the SNP go, oh, isn't it terrible? Oh, this is wrong. Oh, isn't this wrong? But their policies have driven people to this. Society will make its own police force. And if the police aren't capable of administering justice, communities will. The right-minded folk in a community will form a committee, will form a vigilantism committee, and they will know who they are in their areas that are causing the crimes. They will go round and they will deal with it. And if it means taking some family out, some troublesome family out, and torching their home, that is going to happen. These things will happen. There will be consequences for this. And is that the society we want? It's obviously not. What we need is a strong police force, a large police force, and justice that's squarely on the side of the innocent, of the victim, of society. And screw the criminal. Lock them up 30, 40, 50 years. Make prisons harder. Make them an 8x10 cell with a door. And that's it. And the food is thrown in, slopped in, under the little flap at the bottom. And that when they're in there for 20 years, they have their bucket. And that's it. A bucket and a bucket of slop. And they get it for 20 years. And at the end of 20 years, they parole. And if they fail their parole, they get an automatic doubling of their sentence. And keep them there forever, if necessary. Make the punishment so harsh that nobody will want to commit the crime. And that way, you build a society. Now, you'll get the do-gooders going, oh, it's unfair, and the criminals, oh, they didn't have it good. Tough fuck. Don't care. Don't care. Don't break the law. Don't do the time. I mean, if you can't do the time, don't do the crime. If you don't want to hurt people, fine. Now, I'm not talking about little things. I'm not talking about shoplifting. I'm not talking about that sort of thing. I'm talking about people who cause physical harm. Violent criminals. Lock them up. if necessary, for the rest of their worthless, shitty lives. You know, 8 by 10, bucket to shit in, and give them a bowl of slop every morning. And that is more than they deserve. Get angry now, don't I? But it is. We shouldn't have to live in a world like this, where you're scared to go out your front door, where you're scared for your own personal safety, where your children are threatened, where your children are in danger. Lock them up. Search them. Random searches on the street. Got a weapon, 20 years. Whether you've done anything of it, got a weapon, 20 years. Use a weapon, 40 years. Kill someone, the rest of your life. No parole. Touch a child, hang them. Hang them. Bring back it. I don't care. I don't care. I've got 0 fucks to give about the rights of criminals. I'm going to stop and come up. Do you know, I could feel the anger rising. I didn't get angry, but I could feel the anger rising there. I was like, I was getting one. I was like a dog with a bone. But I mean what I say. This is the thing. It is a hot take, and it's my hot take, and that's how I feel. I can't abide it. Anyway, do please let me know what you think. Should we just care about criminals? Should we try and rehabilitate them? Or should we just say, no, you're a violent criminal, and lock them up for the rest of their lives? Except for the ones who touch children. Hang them buggers. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Don't know if you'll agree with me. It's a bit of a controversial one. Maybe, I think. Who knows? Anyway, till next time, stay safe, stay well, and do check that you're still subscribed. It's a dodgy bloody system. Anyway, till next time, goodbye.